on the practice field. And after Wednesday, talk about Thursday, and just go through the week. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, it's pretty well documented in both places that he was pretty disruptive. What makes you confident that he won't be that way here?
That's the same thing you said about Randy Moss when we brought him in. So.
Well, you know what? That for once, Bill Belichick answered the question. He's right. That's true, and it worked out all right. But well, anyway, Belichick also talked with Dolphins reporters today when asked about the so-called Patriots way. Belichick said, "I don't know if I've ever used that term. I don't know what that is." I'm not sure if he was referring to the fact that we usually say Patriot way or he was just being a smart aleck. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is Antonio Brown is now with the Patriots. Does he last the season? I'm putting it right out there and not wasting time.
Yes.
Okay.
I think what the Patriots have going on
the
somehow overcomes everything else, and I think it works.
No, I believe it works as well, and I believe it works because Antonio Brown, for some of the antics we've seen publicly, he understands how to get along when it's time to get along. You can see some of the things he's done since leaving Pittsburgh, and you say either Mike Tomlin's great at making sure everything stays under wraps, or Antonio Brown found a way to continue to be a part of that team. And that's
maybe both.
And that's what he did. And so I think there will be a hard line set on things he can and cannot do in New England, things they will and will not accept. And I know it's a place where you need to be on time, a place where you need to be available, a place where you need to work hard. From my time with Antonio Brown, those are things he did. It was when the organization and when people enabled him to feel like he didn't have to do those things anymore, which he didn't for a while until it came to a head. And then everybody was like, oh, my goodness, we can't take it. When a hard line is set, he'll understand what to do. And Tom Brady and Bill Belichick has taken on so many people who we knew were problems, and they didn't have those issues in New England.
Is this a situation of you give him an inch, he takes a mile, but New England just won't give the inch?
Yo, absolutely. Antonio Brown is a guy that is going to do what you allow him to do. He's a guy who will have someone reach out to you and say, hey, coach, can I use this phone call for my video? That's the type of person that Antonio Brown is. Antonio Brown is the person that if you give him enough leash, he's going to stretch it as far as he can to try to get out of the yard. And so for him right now, he understands where he is in New England. He understands the opportunity he actually has to not only rewrite who he is as a player, but as a person. Randy Moss goes to New England and he's thought of in a certain way. I believe a huge part of why he is so successful now is because he went to New England, he changed the way we looked at him and the way people perceived him, and now he's the Randy Moss that's on NFL Countdown for ESPN.
So, the question I have is, are we going to get the Instagram post from the locker room? Okay, because that's where this stuff all started.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back, it was the playoff win, Mike Tomlin's up there talking as the head coach. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's where this all started.
Yeah.
So, do we get that? Now, I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Because if he wants to stay, and I think he does, if he wants to make this work, he has to conform. It's going to be the Patriot way. It's going to be the Patriot way, Bill, is whatever you want. and that's what AB's going to do so he can play for you.
Absolutely.
I think the other thing is really, and maybe you can speak to this a little, Ryan, but I mean, he saw the way that the Raiders dealt with him with regard to those fines as provocation. Right? He took that a certain way. Mm-hmm. They're out to get me. They're coming for my money. I think if you have to, if Bill Belichick and the Patriots find themselves in a position where they have to mete out some sort of discipline or exert some sort of authority over Antonio Brown, there are probably ways to do it that won't cause the kind of eruption that we saw in Oakland last week.
It's all about communication. It's all about communication and having a guy know that these are the rules and that these are the consequences of doing certain things. And I don't think there's a team in the NFL that is more transparent with that than the New England Patriots are. That you know when you walk into that building, this is not everybody's going to hug. It's kumbaya and we're all friends. That's not the way that organization worked. But when he got to Oakland, that was the feeling they gave him. When he sat up there with them, it was glowing things said about him, and they loved him and they wanted him there. And then for all these things you said about me and wanting me to be me, now you find me without telling me.
And it's on Hard Knocks.
And it's on Hard Knocks. Yeah. Well, he was going to make sure everybody knew about it anyway.
He got the word out himself as well. But there's some truth to that you got to set the standard. And that standard in New England's been set.
Absolutely.
It's been set many years ago. And it's the way they do things. There'll be no ambiguity. And it sounds like Antonio Brown is not someone who does well unless things are pretty clear.
Absolutely. And so I think it works there.
All right, we'll see. It will be interesting to watch because if it does work, wow, can they be prolific, as if they aren't already. Also new this afternoon on NFL Live, Panthers Nation reporter David Newton reporting ahead of the Panthers game against the Bucs Thursday night. Panthers defensive lineman Gerald McCoy says he plans to retire as a Tampa Bay player whenever his NFL career is over. He's already talked to management about that decision. Again, they will kick off week 2 on Thursday night. When we return, who had the best?
I mean, I feel like someone's smashing my temple on the side of the head. Get over it, man. It's over. You know, we were good the preseason without him. You know, we're going to be fine without him. We wish him the best. But, you know, we gave it a shot. And now New England gets their turn. Good luck to them. But I just can't, I can't deal with it anymore, really. Sorry.
I can't blame the man there. I mean, I would have enough of it too. But, you know, listen, Coach, can't blame us for asking either. But anyway, he isn't there. Antonio Brown is a member of the New England Patriots. They didn't play last night. The Raiders did. What'd you think about that offense, regardless of whether Antonio Brown is there or not?
If you protect him, he will deliver, all right? Derek Carr, not even touched. I mean, it was amazing. The offensive line did a tremendous job protecting him. Nice game planning by John Gruden, and Derek looked completely in command. Got very decisive, got the ball out of his hand, and very accurate.
Well, it's interesting, Ryan, too, because we've talked about this. Everybody says all the right things, but this season is a little bit of a referendum, I think, on Derek Carr's future in Oakland. We know that, which is one reason that AB stuff was so frustrating, I'm sure. One reason. But, you know, there is reason for hope. They got a lot of young guys.
Those receivers, he's just shaking his head. Receivers.
Hey, there's a ton of young guys, and something was really telling in John Gruden's press conference after the game. This is the first time I've ever heard him use Derek Carr's name and great in the same sentence. He said he was a leader, and he's like, and that's what great quarterbacks do. We didn't hear that type of talk from John Gruden when it came to Derek Carr last year. There was some public lashing out at Derek Carr as well, which you normally don't see with franchise guys. Like Coach said, he was kept clean, and he made pinpoint accurate throws and great decisions. And then down the line, they were able to get the ball to Josh Jacobs, and we saw this offensive line not only protect and keep Derek Carr clean, but they gave Josh Jacobs lanes so he could get going and get into the second level of the defense. If they can protect and if you can create lanes to run in, that travels.
Can that line continue then? Can they continue to protect that way?
Yeah, this is another example of a team investing big resources.
Yeah.
I mean, Trent Brown is a right tackle, is a very expensive free agent. Colton Miller playing left tackle is a first-round pick. The center, Rodney Hudson, is one of those centers I just referenced who just got a contract extension. So they have a lot of high-end resources invested there. And Josh Jacobs, the running back from Alabama, you're not coming out of Alabama as a running back if you don't know how to help in pass protection, right? So he's a guy, you say he's not afraid of contact. He'll be a factor there, be able to stay on the field 3 downs. And yeah, I mean, they can do it. And it's not, they weren't doing this against a high school team. I mean, Von Miller and Bradley Chubb on the opposite
didn't hear their
side.
names.
Right,
No.
so it was a pretty impressive performance.
Was that, you know, let's give Derek Carr and that offense credit where it's due. I don't like to sweep that under the rug. But having said that, were you a little surprised by this Denver defense?
A little bit shocked, yeah. I just don't remember a game ever that Von Miller wasn't draped around the quarterback.
Right.
I mean, at some point, he's disruptive, and he's going to be draped around the quarterback. So I don't remember seeing that occur last night, not even one time. And so I'm going to go back and watch it again in detail. But I'm going to be looking for Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. Where were they last night? And is it the offensive line was that good, or did they have a bad night?
And you know what happens as well? We are kind of remembering this Denver Bronco defense as what they were when Peyton Manning was the quarterback. When it was
probably a little bit fair.
When it was Aqib Talib on the other side of Chris Harris, when it was T.J. Ward and Darian Stewart and all of these different guys, when it was Brandon Marshall at linebacker that could run side to side. It was a different team at that time. And so now they've lost some of those pieces. It's not the same team that it once was. And a lot of this, well, they have a great defense and they were able to run the ball last year. All Joe Flacco has to do is not be Joe Flacco. You can't really say those things if this defense can't stop people, if they can't have a corner know that he's man-to-man with 10 people in the box and he has to protect deep. That's not good football by Vic Fangio's defense.
Well, no, but you have to think that the combination, and I hear you, we probably have some outdated expectations, but you got to think Von Miller and Bradley Chubb together can still be disruptive.
they'll figure it out.
They'll have to figure. Halloween '99, after a New Orleans go-ahead field goal, Kevin Johnson caught this tipped Hail Mary from Tim Couch as the expansion Browns won their first game since returning to the league following an 0-7 start. And then last night, after Deshaun Watson led the Texans